Hello and welcome to the Pandaverse. I'm Elgon Williams, the E in CNA, and I'm
And
joined
Chris,
with.
you forgot me, Elgin.
Ah,
He forgot
okay.
the C in the C and E.
I'll try to edit that out.
No, but you shouldn't even edit it out because I think it's great. Everybody, you forgot me. I am the C, Christine, and we got another C, Cary.
That's
Welcome.
Right. Well, thank you for having me. This is great.
You're welcome. Yes. So you wrote a fantastic book.
I did.
Why don't you tell us about it?
It's called COLT Maverick. I don't know if you can see it. I'm trying to hold it up.
There you go.
So there you go. There's the cover. And it was published by Drinian Press in Huron, Ohio, which is about 20 minutes from us. Published in 2018, late June. And it's a mystery. And COLT Maverick is also the name of my main character, and he's a private detective. He is like I said, a private detective, lives outside of Philadelphia because he had a short career with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles. And before that, he was with the Marines. He served our country in the Marines, and he was a Marine sniper. And so he decided that that after his time in after an injury ended his NFL career, that he was going to do something completely different. He wasn't going to do what the rest of the jocks were going to do, be a newscaster, be a sports coach. He decided he was going to go basically into law enforcement because his best friend, who's also in the book, worked his way up so that he's the head of the detective bureau in the local sheriff's office.
Nice. And so I see that you are an award-winning writer.
Yes, that is from my days as a newspaper reporter, which is where you and I got to know each other.
It is.
Christine.
Yes. Cary was the first person to actually interview me when my book released. So
right. You got to spread the love around. You can support local writers.
Yes.
And the local. That was a real important thing for me.
That first book that she published just won another award.
Wow.
So yeah. So she got the silver medal from Reader's Favorite for her genre. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
It's been racking up the awards. Yeah. So that's where Christine and I first bonded and got to know each other and realized we're both Wonder Woman fans and that sort of thing. So,
it's because I am Wonder Woman.
Right, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
And you're my Superman, right?
I'll be Batman.
I'll say, well, Batman. Batman would be great.
Right.
And Elgon, you can be the Riddler. Riddle me this. So, Cary, where did the motivation come, all this creativity come to make you want to create COLT Maverick?
Well, I've always loved the mystery genre. That's my go-to genre when I read. So I grew up on, if you want to go back to me as a little boy, I grew up on the Hardy Boys.
Oh, yes.
And, and I loved the cliffhangers, and, my mom was very generously made sure I got almost all the Hardy Boy books. And then as I got older, I would read the different mysteries, and what I realized was a common theme in those mysteries were a lot of these characters were private detectives. And you know how we writers are. We think we've got this great idea that, hey, I'm gonna write the next best thing kind of thing. So I think whether I realized it or not years ago, I had wanted to do that, was create a private detective, but I don't know that I could actually verbalize that until several years ago. And when I created COLT, I wanted to do something original. I didn't want it to be like, oh, this is just a ripoff of, Mike Hammer, or this is a ripoff of any other private detective. So that's why I added that interesting element of, it actually came first, was that interesting element of him being a former professional football player.
I love it.
Because one of the things I did want to make about Colt was he's a man's man. He's a man of action. And I joke around, but it's true. I also doubled down and made it really difficult on myself. I was like, well, that's not cool enough that he's a private detective. Let's make him a football player. Oh, no, we have to make it harder. So then I made him serve our country, for about 8 years. So it makes for a little bit of a complicated history. But that's kind of where it happened. And I can tell you a little bit more about his origins if you want, as well.
Sure. Yeah, I love it. Now, okay, I do have a question. So every writer, when they write, you
Yes.
can kind of see yourself in a character. Would you say that Colt has some of your personality traits?
I knew you were going to ask me this. And I've been asked this at author events. I would say if you know me well, yes, there are things about Colt that are similar to me. There are things that are very much different than me. I mean, I'm 5'9", he's 6'4", built like a fullback or tight end, and that's not me completely. But that love is very much me. I would say the good parts of Colt, because Colt's one of these guys, he's full of himself and he thinks he's the funniest guy in the room. But I would say the good parts of Colt, his loyalty, dedication, his like never give up attitude, I think are very much, hopefully, very similar to me. And with my grandfather having the distinction of having served in World War I and World War II, which I think is extremely cool, and my dad being in the Army Reserve, and my cousins also serving the country, it was just natural for me to also make him a veteran. It's also my way of saying thank you to those who've done so much for our country. So
I think that's fantastic. Elgon was in the military.
I did. We talked about that before we went on air. Thank you for doing this, Elgon, again. Appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome.
So I'm looking here, and you've got some pretty phenomenal reviews. Like Teresa, excellent read. The storyline and characters keep you interested in what happens next. Great novel for a first-time author. This one by Judy, I couldn't put it down until I was finished. Great book. You will not be disappointed with the purchase of this book. I cannot wait until the next book by this author. So tell me, Cary, is there going to be another book?
Yes, there is another book. I'm in the middle of it. It's been am I using the right word? The exact opposite. I was going to say antithesis. I don't know if that's the right word, of the way COLT Maverick came out, because it's just been really, really difficult. And let me go back to those reviews. Wow. How cool to hear people who love your book. I mean, it's the greatest and worst thing that can happen. And you go back to, I believe it was Judy's comment, who says, I can't wait to read the other one. It's a double-edged sword, which I use that phrase a lot, but it's really true. The beautiful thing is that people want more COLT Maverick. And when I've done the authors events where I've met with writers groups, or readers groups, I should say, they feel like it's the first. And so the beautiful thing is people want more COLT Maverick. That also puts the pressure on me to produce more COLT Maverick. And
right.
Well, 3 years later, and I'm not sure even how far in I am. It's really been one of the hardest things I've ever done, because Colt himself, as far as the writing process, and Elgon's going to hate me for this because his first publication took him 20 years. Mine took 18 months to write through. I was like, bim, bam, done. My it's mostly cliche because I use it so much, is Colt was. And there were nights when I thought I was finished writing and I was going to bed. Okay, we're done for the night. Got to a good stopping point. And literally, and this is where I sound cuckoo for cocoa nuts, but Colt's like, no, we're not done, dude. You need to get up, and we got more stuff to say. So the inspiration was there. This time around, the inspiration has been a very finicky mistress. Let's put it that way. And I also you might appreciate this pop culture reference. I'm invoking Friends here, but Colt and I are on a break. And it's the first time that Colt and I have been on a mutually accepted break, because usually he has been like persecuting me, basically like, dude, you are not writing me. What is going on? So, and that's been, so I'm not just getting pressure from the people who love my book, but also I'm getting pressure from my own creation. I guess that's when you're truly a writer, when your own creation talks to you.
Yeah, your characters are definitely alive,
Yes.
And don't sweat it so much. Every book is different.
Yeah.
Okay. The flow will be there. You may write the whole thing in the stream of consciousness, get the draft out, in a few weeks, or it may take months, to write it. There's no hard and fast rules to writing. You just have to, kind of go with it. And a lot of times, the reason why you come to a stop in a book is that you're writing the wrong book.
That's a really good way to look at it.
There may be another piece to the story that you're working on that you need to know in advance of this. And it may not be something that you ever publish, but it's just something that is missing in the whole formula, and you have to be open to that.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that I had to get back in the COLT Maverick universe, was actually over pandemic, I wrote some COLT Maverick short stories. And I think short stories are and even in COLT Maverick, there's a story at the end that's I call like a bonus track on a CD. It's called Why the Sheriff Hates COLT Maverick. And I think if and when the sequel ever gets published, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add short stories at the end, just so people have another taste of COLT. But that actually helped me get back into, okay, what is this guy like again? Am I in the groove? Do I have the right character? This sort of thing. And so that's been kind of fun. So I think that's what I'm actually needing to do to kind of goose my own writing. Does that make sense? Is to actually do some very short stories or just write some stuff. We had Max Soviak, U.S. Navy corpsman who passed away, our hometown hero. And I thought, I was having this random thought as I'm covering it. I work for the Huron County Veteran Service Office. I'm very blessed to work with those who have served, and done so much for our country. And I know I sound like a Hallmark commercial when I say that, but it's very, very true. But I'm having this thought as I'm thinking about they're having this massive procession for it. And I'm thinking, what would COLT think about this? It's one of those hashtags I've actually used when I've done the promotion is WWCD, or what would COLT do? Which kind of was an inside joke, because COLT has a tendency to get the job done, but he's not going to necessarily do it in a conventional way, which ironically, I've gotten to know veterans, that's actually very similar to what they do. They'll do it, but they're not going to do things or say things in the expected way. So I think I'm going to write I'll take a little bit of inspiration of this beautiful way that our Huron County and Erie County communities have honored Max, and put COLT in the midst of a military funeral, and then see how that works.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, Cary.
Yeah, one of the guys that he served with, or one of the gals.
And like, I really hate funerals, and I think it could get into what I want to do is, and I've been, again, at least for me, I percolate a lot before I even put pen to paper, and I'm literally the guy who puts pen to paper, because COLT was written in one of my red spiral notebooks.
Oh, great!
And because I suck at typing, and people are like, wait, but you were a reporter for 17 years. I'm like, but typing and writing are two completely different.
Well, back in the old days, you didn't carry a typewriter around with you. You had a notebook. I studied journalism too, so, but I never really worked for a major newspaper or something like that. But I've had the experience of covering a murder trial and stuff like that when I was an intern, and I decided that I really didn't like being a reporter. So
it's a stressful job. That was why I got out of it. But the ideas flow better for me as a writer, when I'm writing, because I'd be cursing myself for my fingers getting wrapped up against themselves as I type. And I'm like, I've just lost 3 really good sentences here because I can't get through the first half of the first. So, but as you know, Christine and Elgon, every writer's got to do what's good for them.
Absolutely.
And I look at it this way, that once I write it and then I start typing it, that can be the next part of the editing process.
Yes. Yeah.
Typing it. But I also got to know that the typing is going to take a damn long time just because I suck at typing. So we'll figure this thing out. So
now, are you put your pen to the paper and it just flows, or do you do like a storyboard? Like, what kind of writer are you?
I'm what's the names? You're gonna have to help me out with this, Christine. You know how they have the planners, and then those who write.
Yeah. There's a plotter. There's the plotters, and the pantsers.
Pantsers.
I'm kind of right by the seat of their pants.
Right. I'm kind of a hybrid because COLT Maverick I knew the storyline, but I was more of a pantser in that kind of case. But I do a bit of plotting as far as I do get into the situation, and I will get into, I'll do an outline of, these are some things that I need to have happen in the story as the story is developing. But I'm not married to the outline because then I don't think the fiction breathes. You got to let your characters take over. I got to invoke that. What is COLT going to do? COLT's going to do some shit that I'm not expecting. Pardon my French. But, that's where COLT, I think, excels, I hope. It's when he gets in the middle of it all, and that's when he talks to me in a really cool way. But, as long as I can hit those points, I feel like that gives COLT and the other characters a chance to breathe.
Oh, yeah.
Your characters tell you the story.
They do.
You have to let them. You have to let them do it.
Mm-hmm.
And people who aren't writers and written fiction don't know what we're talking about. They just think, Cary's gone boo boo cuckoo. But it's right. It's, and I say that to people. I said, COLT talks to me. You've seen the memes that I've done of Christine.
Yeah.
I took that scene from Thor Ragnarok, and I put Chris Hemsworth as COLT saying, "Now look, don't make me come over there and hurt you, basically, because you're not writing me." So yeah, I've had COLT persecuting me for months on end. I'm like, dude, you need to chill out. He and I have a crazy dynamic, and he can be kind of overbearing, and I can be but we're on the Ross and Rachel good break kind of thing right now, because I hope you appreciate this. But I literally had to tell him, I was like, dude, if you want me to write, I want to be in a good headspace to do this. And I don't need you breathing down my neck to do it, So I literally have had these conversations with, so all your viewers are out there going, dude, that Ashby guy, he's crazy. But, I think it takes a little bit of crazy to think you can write a novel anyway.
We're writers. We're all crazy.
Yeah, it's all normal.
Yeah.
All normal.
Yeah. So
what I find helps is, I start with the dialogue between the two main characters, and then it expands out from there. And they tell me what's going on in the course of their dialogue. I find out the conflicts and everything else. And after I've written a rough draft, the book may be totally disorganized. So I've got to go back and put structure to it. So that's when I apply an outline to it.
Right. And I write chronologically.
Yep, me too.
And part of that is I'm writing from the beginning of the story to the very end of the story. And my friend Gary Harmon, who writes historical novels, he writes in bits and pieces. He said, I might write a chapter that doesn't show up for however long, but he also types when he writes. So the way my brain works my brain doesn't work like Gary's. I've tried to do that, and it just makes my notebook a chaos, and it drives me crazy. But Gary will write a chapter. He writes by chapters basically, but he can put it together because he's got everything on his laptop, and then he can put it together. I tried doing a little bit of that, skipping a scene, and then of course, I don't know, maybe not of course, but I write the page numbers on there. So then my page numbers are all wacky, and yeah, it's just crazy. Hashtag writer problems, you know?
No kidding. I feel that in the soul.
There's a program that writers use. It's called Scrivener, and with that, you can actually use it like a word processor, or you can use Word, Microsoft Word, and import everything from Word into it, and you can create the chapters and everything else. But it allows you to attach note cards to it so that you can keep up with your character development, like, what color truck they were driving in chapter 1, and you're in chapter 6 and you don't make it the wrong color.
Right. Yeah.
So that level. Yeah, that level of granular control is there. It's built into the program. It's kind of, there's a lot of features that you can use in it, but you don't have to use all of them. You pick and choose what works for you. And at the end of it, you've got everything set out in chapters. You can take a chapter from the end of the book and move it up to chapter 3, and it becomes chapter 3. You can move the entire thing, or you can move pieces of chapters if you wrote it out that way. So, there's a lot of complexity that you can put to it. But at the end of it all, you can export it to a Word document, or you can export it to a Kindle, or whatever format that you want. So it's a very powerful program, and it only costs about $50, which is amazing.
I definitely to give you about what good programs are to use. Go ahead, Christine. I'm sorry to interrupt.
For Christmas, I'm going to buy you a bunch of notebooks.
Ooh, I like it. They got to be
some really cool pens.
Oh, nice. I like when you talk dirty like that. Notebooks and pens. That's like writer. What that is.
So, okay, as a writer, a published writer, what advice would you give to those that are trying to get published, trying to get out there, trying to finish their work, the ones that may be struggling? What advice would you give to them?
I would say write what you enjoy. It's just like anything else. You're not going to enjoy the process of writing, even when it's painful, if you're not writing about something that you're passionate about. 2, I would kind of back up from what you said about hoping to be published. I think there's a misconception out there that those of us are more of a writer because we got a book published. I think everybody's a writer, whether your writing stuff sees the light of day or not. And I really want people to hear that. One of the things I've talked about ever since I wrote COLT, and in my author events at the COLT Maverick Library Tour that I did here in Huron County, is I'm just proud of the fact that I wrote a really long story and completed the daggone thing. Because, like a lot of us, I'm sure I'm not the only one who you start something, but you never finish it. So the fact that I finished this long story, and it's a big, long-ass story, and it's done, that's great, whether it ever saw the light after my notebook or anything else. But the people who, somehow they think in a hierarchy that because you're a published author makes you some more important than the rest of us. No, we just got lucky. At least that's the way I consider myself. So yeah, just don't think of yourself as any less of a writer just because you haven't been published. And write what you like, and seek feedback. That would be the third thing. And I would say seek feedback in a safe space. Like a writers group. That's where COLT was born. He was created, or born, as I like to say, in a writers group in Huron, Ohio. There are 5 of us in this group, and we just meet. We share with each other. We literally read what we've been working on, and we give feedback. But we give feedback from a constructive criticism point of view and a view of, hey, we just want to make you a better writer. And we do it in a place of love and friendship. And so 3/4 of the Colt Maverick novel got read to the group. So I was getting feedback on a regular basis from them. And what they said actually obviously made it much, much better. And had I actually really edited the book as heavily as I should have, it would have been an even better book than it was before. And that's kind of what I'm doing with the sequel. I'm really kind of cheating. I'm kind of retconning some of the stuff in Colt Maverick because and I don't like to use the word sequel, but really is, because it involves the death of a minor character. And I'm clearing up some things and adding and making it the original premise even more complicated than it was before, which again, I think that's where Colt shines, or should shine.
Yeah, I think that's great, Cary. Also, tell everybody where they can find your books. Where can we buy Colt Maverick from?
You know what the funny answer or the legit answer? The funny answer is you can buy it from the back of my trunk, because that's where I keep my copies. I literally have copies of my book with my car. But it's also available on Amazon and on not Books A Million, but Barnes & Noble. Yeah. Barnes & Noble. It's available for both there. So
wonderful. Aww. Well, Cary, it's been a pleasure today. I just feel like time went so fast. So I'm so excited. You know, I met you such a long time ago, and we've become such great friends. And I'm just so proud of you. I'm so proud of everything you've done in life. And I really hope you finish this next book. And I'll foresee author events with you in the future. I'm going to throw out this one last thing. You said recommendations for people who do is look up libraries or coffee houses or bookstores and do author events there, you know, because that's for me. I don't know about you and how you debuted yours. Yours was on a much grander scale than mine was, Christine. But for me, my book debut at the Norwalk Public Library is one of those events that I will never forget. It was really amazing. 30 people came, 30 people from various parts of my life. And it was on a Monday night, and the Browns were playing on Monday night. So, and the fact that 30 people came and we got out of there long before kickoff. But it was a great.
Was that when the Browns were really bad?
Yeah, it was. It was during the Hugh Jackson, so it was a lot of ugly football.
So people were saying, well, I could go to the library and see Cary, or I could go to the Browns game. Okay, well, I'll be going to the library.
Wow, like that.
Wow, Elgon. Wow.
Zing.
Zing.
Oh my gosh.
I grew up in Southern Ohio, so I was a Bengals fan. I was a Browns fan until the Bengals started, but.
Yeah, I'm a Redskins fan. It's my first team. I'm sorry, not supposed to say that name. The Washington football team. I can't wait till we get a new logo and mascot. But yeah, and then out of the first author event, what I did was I started the Colt Maverick Library Tour, and I had gone to different libraries in our county and did similar events. None of them nearly as big as Norwalk, but that's what I did.
I think that's great. Yeah, my first big event was at the Norwalk Library also.
Cool.
So, yeah, and you were right, because people from all different parts of my life came to see me. And the one that hit me the most was my high school English teacher. He had been in a nursing facility, and he was a mentor to me. I had, looked up to him, and he ended up coming out just so he could be there for my first signing. So I know how that feels. It's such a beautiful feeling. I really don't even know how to explain it, because it's just in your heart, and you're so thankful, and you feel so blessed.
Absolutely. And just in the last couple of days on Facebook, those were the Facebook memories that were coming up of that library event. So, it keeps all those wonderful, heartwarming memories going. And I believe in that I believe in that grassroots approach, and I love the community that we live in, Christine, and and we really do have some of the most supportive and wonderful people around. So I don't know any other way I would have done it, to be honest.
I agree. Same. I agree. And you're flying out tomorrow, so you got to get up nice and early.
Dude.
Yeah, he's coming out here he's coming out where I am.
Right.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I'm checking something off the bucket list, but I'll just make sure it's not like something from The Hangover. That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
remember what happens in Vegas.
Yeah, be careful.
Vegas.
Be careful down there.
Right.
Strip's a little wild at times.
Elgon would know.
Yeah, I need to get in touch with Elgon and go, where do I avoid? So I stay out of trouble.
No, stay in whatever hotel that you go to. You were going to the Flamingo or something, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Whatever hotel that you stay in, there's stuff to do inside the hotel. There's stuff to do around the hotel. And, if you go out of that area, be with a group of people, just going around, because you feel a lot more secure that way. It's not that it's not safe down there, but it's, there's all kinds of distractions going on, and you could step out in front of a bus or something.
Don't do that, Cary.
Yeah.
Never did. Yeah.
And listen, if something happens, you just text me like SOS. I will fly down there and I'll save you.
Oh,
I will. I'll put my Wonder Woman cape on. I'm down there.
Yeah, we need to make a Wonder Woman Batman show here, and definitely two-time. And I think I love the fact that you schools to
dress up in costume.
Right?
Yeah. That'd be good for Halloween.
All right, Cary. Well, you have a safe trip. Remember, do all the things you wouldn't do here, do them in Vegas.
Absolutely. And what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
That's right.
Tell everybody, no phones. Don't record this.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, it was a pleasure.
This was fun.
Yeah.
I'm very honored that you thought of me. So
I always think of you, Cary. Always.
Oh, you're awesome, Christine.
Good night.
Friends, yeah. Sorry, I got to do a half a heart because I'm holding it with my other phone.
There you go.
Half a heart.
All right, Cary. Have a good night. All right, bye.
Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.